Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Great to have you here today for the weekend edition of the show. Excited to get into all our community's questions, all about wellness, weight loss, anti-aging, health coaching, mindset, motivation, whatever it may be. We will do our very best to help you find the answers that you've been looking for. So every single week, what I do is I open up the giant document of all of the questions that have come in from the past few years from our community. And I look forward, like I said, every single Saturday, every single Sunday to answering your questions. So hopefully you've been tuning in, checking out all the information. And as I always say, not everything will be applicable to you, but this information is needed by someone you will come across in your life. There's just no doubt about it. Whether it be a family member, a coworker, community member, whoever it might be, you'll be able to share with them maybe the answer that they've been looking for. So without further ado, let's dive into today's show. First question. The first question is coming in from, let's just see here. Coming in from, the suspense is killing me. We are starting off with Sam. Sam is saying, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. I suffer from eczema, severe eczema, and I've listened to all of the episodes you mentioned about it. You say that it's usually caused by food sensitivity, but I've done IgG food sensitivity tests and have eliminated all the foods that I was sensitive to, even though I saw a minor improvement. I continue to get rashes all over my body. Is it only caused by food sensitivities, or could it be because of some kind of gut issue, such as candida overgrowth? Thank you so much." Sam, happy to answer that question. Yeah, eczema, unlike psoriasis, is often a food sensitivity. There can be other things that go along with it, chemical sensitivities, etc. But just remember, the IgG food sensitivity test that you can do right at home is invaluable. And that is because it teaches you what your body will be reacting to in terms of an inflammatory effect 24, 48, 72 hours later. And I always tell people, let's say that you ate a food for, lunch on Monday. Well, very likely you may not have a reaction to that food from an inflammatory perspective in terms of skin rash, headache, brain fog, whatever, joint pain, until Tuesday at lunch or Wednesday at lunch, believe it or not, or even Thursday morning. So again, that's why an IgG food sensitivity is key for children and adults. I run one every single year myself, and this year I actually ran the Big Five twice just to make sure my immune system was right where it should be with all of the pandemic-based issues going on. So but there's more to the story, right? So it's an IgG immune sensitivity. That means a latent-based response. It means immunoglobulin G. You don't need to know what all of this means, but they're different types of white blood cells. So you've got immunoglobulin E, immunoglobulin A, immunoglobulin M. You've got lectin sensitivities. You've got, all different sensitivities that go with foods, right? Histamine-based sensitivities. So what we want to look at is what's going on with you. And that's why it's more than just an IgG sensitivity. Like an IgG sensitivity is going to look at proteins in certain foods, but that doesn't mean that you might not be reacting to the outside layer of nuts and seeds, even though you tested low from an IgG perspective. Just keep that in mind. So that's why, right off the bat, we do an elimination diet. We typically start people with a detox if they're not going to lab test, because we get rid of most of the foods that they might be sensitive to. Again, that even includes nuts and seeds, but it gets rid of, again, if you're not going to test, let's look at this. Well, let's look at dairy, gluten, and wheat. Let's look at eggs. Those are the big three, right? So we need to eliminate those right off the bat, whether it's children or adults. Just a test, right? 3 weeks, test it out. And you can also eliminate nuts and seeds if you wanted to, and all grains if you wanted to. And that would eliminate the majority of the foods that you're going to be sensitive to. However, it doesn't tell you all the random ones that you can still be sensitive to. So that's why in a rotation diet, check out my podcast on rotation diets, working with an integrative health practitioner, level 2 ideally, working with someone on our equilibrium nutrition health coaching team, whatever it might be, to just to kind of put an end to this, right? So you need to figure out what it is. And absolutely, run an organic acids test, also called the Candida metabolic and vitamins test, because you could have Candida overgrowth, you could have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, you could have intestinal permeability. All of that needs to be fixed in the long run, especially if you do have some of those lectin histamine-based issues, because rebalancing your gut can correct a lot of those actual issues. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, Aaron's up next. I heard you talk about doing sun salutations. Internet searches show variations of the sun salutation, and I was wondering if you have links, recommendations, or your own books or videos demonstrating proper technique for the movement. Your podcast on sun salutations has a graphic, but without a description or of how to form the different poses, when to breathe, etc. I'm a little confused if your source has a good book. All right. Okay, so let's answer that because I know there's a couple questions in here. So Aaron, and by the way, everybody can follow along with today's show. I believe it's episode 1709. So definitely read along with the questions at stephencabral.com/1709 today. And of course, you can watch on YouTube now as well. Just my name, Stephen Cabral, and that's Stephen with a PH. So, okay, Aaron, I know the episode you're talking about. So if I look it up at stephencabral.com/podcast, sun salutations. For this one, just type in, because sun salutation isn't written in there. I'll have my team write it in. It's episode 356. It's called the 12 movement sequence to do every day. And it shows the graphic without a doubt. And there's also a video there as well. So I'm not sure why you didn't see the video. Maybe it didn't load on your page, but it's definitely there. I'll play it right here for a second. Yeah, it's 7 minutes and 14 seconds. And so check it out. Surya Namaskara and Surya Namaskar. And that's episode 356. You'll see the video right there. Okay. So what's up next? Let's see the next question. You've mentioned you listen to binaural beats, and I would really like to know more. Internet searches for binaural beats produce random new age psychedelic videos and sounds, but they don't specify what frequencies you hear. Where do you get your binaural beats? Why did you choose them, and what frequencies do you recommend for different healing stages? Sorry for the long questions. No, Aaron, I'm happy to help. Don't feel bad about writing these questions at all. But I have mentioned these things as well. So like if I go to stephencabral.com/podcast, and I know if you're a longtime listener, you always hear me say that, but it doesn't change. And I just type in binaural beats, you'll find my shows on binaural beats for sure. You'll find some of the house calls, yes, but also look for the shows that are not house calls. Like episode 1399. All right, let's go to that one for a second. There's one on, there's so many. There's one on 1372 for Huso. And 1399 will probably show you the whole tones that I recommend. So let's see if I can find that there as well. And it's gifts. Should it be under $100? Let's see. All right. Huso binaural beats. Yep, that's one right there. That's more expensive. Those are just frequencies, no music behind it. And where is it? I'm going to use my little search find. Whole tones. It's not on that. It'll be on my new resources page. And if you read the Rain Barrel Effect, it's on the Rain Barrel Effect resources page as well. So I also like the company called Whole Tones. They have a really nice binaural beats. I still listen to it to this day. So I love that one. I have a really expensive one too that I used to use in my private practice called New Calm. That's amazing. But what you're looking for are the specific frequencies and hertz, like 432. But honestly, I would just check out the whole tones, which is less expensive. Or if you want the nice music to it, New Calm, more expensive. And Huso, you get the actual acoustic and the vibration-based component as well. So those are all great to look at. And so, Aaron, hopefully that helps. All right, Nick's up next. Hi, guys. We are leading a plant-based primarily and feel as though we are adhering to a healthy lifestyle. My wife is experiencing bad eczema on her arms, not experienced this before in her life, even when she led a far less healthy lifestyle and diet. Really hoping for some advice and trying to work out what is the root cause of this so that we can adjust something to make her feel better. Okay, so Nick, happy to help with this answer as well. Many people actually, when they start incorporating more of a plant-based lifestyle, can actually have some issues. It's funny, but when you eat more processed foods, they're actually easier to digest. And that might make sense, right? Because if you think about it, they've been ground down more. There's more flours. They're more processing, which means it's less digestive work. And also there's less of those, people call them plant toxins, but they're really, it's unfounded referring to them as that. It's very confusing to people because yes, there are components that are actually what we would consider like a stressor on our body. But believe it or not, in the long run, those stressors are actually been shown to be anti-carcinogenic, meaning potentially helping to prevent cancers, heart conditions, diabetes, blood pressure, etc. So the issue is, if there's any gut issues, it can be exacerbated, at least in the beginning. So Nick, the very best thing that your wife could do is run the starter kit, or ideally the Big Five, if not the starter kit. And if not that, if she can only run one test, it's the Candida metabolic and vitamins test to look at gut function. So Nick, hopefully that helps, especially if there's any bloating or gas associated with her eczema. Definitely check that out. All right, Susanna is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I have a quick question. About a week before my period, I start to feel a little bit more emotional and down. My mood and energy are very low, and it seems like doing anything at all becomes just more difficult. I know that this is more of or less normal and it has to do with hormone levels dropping fast. I try getting more movement and sunlight in this period, but are there any natural remedies or supplements that you can recommend to take during this week in order to make these symptoms less severe? Thank you so much in advance for your answer. Yes, Susanna, the simplest things that you can do with this: increase your cruciferous vegetables. Make sure you're following the daily foundational protocol level 2 or level 3 because you need your omega-3s in there. You definitely want your daily probiotic support. You definitely want your daily fruit and vegetable blend and all the nutrients you need from your daily nutritional support. So that's first and foremost. You can do seed cycling. Okay, so that's absolutely helpful. Even if you didn't want to do seed cycling all month long and you just wanted to do it during the last 2 weeks, definitely do that. Let's see where that is on the podcast. Again, go to stephencabral.com/podcasts and let's just type in seed cycling, one of our more popular shows. I also did a show on how to balance female hormones. I would absolutely look into that because that's going to tell you why this happens. And I'll be doing an accelerator in the future that teaches you how to fully rebalance your hormones because it's really not normal. It's not good. I know it's common, but it's not normal to really have a lot of those PMS-based symptoms. All right. So seed cycling, where is seed cycling? Let's just see here. Well, you know what I would do, just because I don't want to take up too much time? Anytime you can't find a podcast, just go to cabralsupportgroup.com and just say, hey, could you link up the podcast on seed cycling? And someone will absolutely link it up in there for you. That's what that's all about. Let me do one more quick search right here. See if I can find it. There we go. Episode 935, seed cycling, stephencabral.com/935. And then I would also use a product called estrogen balance during that at least, well, I would do it for the 2 weeks before your period. So basically days 14 to 38 to help with estrogen dominance because it's typically a reduction, especially in progesterone, that is leading to estrogen dominance. And the product called estrogen balance that contains all natural products, I3C, indole-3 carbinol, and something called DIM that will help with balancing detox pathways for estrogen and estrogen balance. Okay, so thanks for writing in. And let's see who's up. Chrissy's up next. And then one more thing I just want to mention for Suzanne, make sure your vitamin D levels are optimized as well. Most women, men as well, need 4,000 IUs of vitamin D on a daily basis. Okay? Chrissy's up. Hello, Stephen. I just want to thank you for your podcast and sharing your wealth of knowledge with all of us. I'm not sure if this question has been asked before. I did try to search. But is laser hair removal safe? Thank you so much. All right, Christy, thank you for writing in. And let's just see if that one's been asked before. Laser hair removal. All right. Spelled that a bit wrong. Laser hair removal. It doesn't look like I've talked about it before. Nope. Does not look like I've talked about it before. All right. So let me give you my take on laser hair removal. When you are doing laser hair removal, if you're hoping for it to be permanent, what you're hoping to do is for the laser to actually kill the follicle at a follicle level below the skin. And it can actually be quite effective at doing it. Typically, I think a treatment of like 3 to 6 times for many people, and especially on thicker hair growth based areas, it at least begins to thin it, and then potentially it could stop it over time. I have not seen any negative consequences except initial. I think there's irritation. There's probably some potential swelling in the area. It might be a little painful, but I don't know of any long-term consequences from it, and that's because it is not affecting systems of the body. It's affecting it at a dermal level, an epidermal level, I guess you would call it, for the actual hair follicles there. And by removing those hair follicles, I don't see a downward cascade of what else may go wrong. So I'm not an expert in this particular area, but I don't believe there's a lot of excess toxicity or potential health issues with that. But again, I would continue to look into it, but I don't see it. I don't see how it would be. All right, thanks for writing in. Doing great on time, so Darcy is up next. I have a severe flare-up of eczema on occasion, probably due to stress, as my diet is pretty good most of the time. The only person I know who gets it worse is a cousin who had to be on prednisone a few times due to how bad the breakouts were. My question is, he used 1 or 2 drops of food-grade hydrogen peroxide in a glass of distilled water first thing in the morning on an empty stomach for 3 to 4 days, and it cleared up his breakout. Is this safe? Have you heard of this before? What are the pros and cons? I Googled it and saw things like stroke and seizures come up from the oxygen bubbles being created in the blood, I think. I'm assuming that would be a large amount of pure hydrogen peroxide. It works for him, so I wanted to try it. All right, Darcy, and we've got 3 questions on eczema. We hardly ever get that many questions on eczema. But, okay, so let's look at what's hydrogen peroxide. It's basically O3. So we're looking at an extra oxygen-based molecule, which does what? Well, it's been shown to kill viruses. It's been shown to kill bacteria. It basically kills things on contact. That's why when some people get a cut, they put a little hydrogen peroxide on it, and it kills the bacteria on the cut. There's pros and cons to that in the long term. Initially, for a cut, it could be potentially beneficial, especially if there are a lot of bacteria got in there. But used over time doesn't seem to be that great. Now, the issue you run with anyone using hydrogen peroxide therapy is that initially it could be okay, because basically what you're doing is you are adding extra oxygen molecules onto specific free radicals because they're missing an electron molecule. And the other thing is that it's corrosive. I mean, the hydrogen peroxide is corrosive. It's going to kill what it touches. So that's why with your cousin, very likely your cousin has some type of candida overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth in the gut, H. pylori. There's something going on there. And when the hydrogen peroxide comes in, it's killing that. But it could also be damaging stomach mucosa and other things as well. I don't think I can necessarily recommend drinking hydrogen peroxide. I mean, there's a time and a place. I know people have used it as a nebulizer for certain reasons, and as a enema, but I can't recommend that, especially not over a house call. That's for sure. You'd have to be working with a practitioner that could help you oversee it. And I just think that it's not the answer, right? It's like, well, even if hydrogen peroxide works, you have to ask, why does it work, right? A lot of people are missing the why. Not a lot of people. Doctors are missing the why. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? And so I want you to always know the why. And if there's candida overgrowth, if there's bacterial overgrowth, well, let's run a candida metabolic and vitamins test. Let's run a bacteria and parasite stool test. Let's look at what's going on in the gut, and then we can do something like the CBO protocol. With the CBO finisher, we can use a specific sensitive gut guide elimination diet. So there's so much that we can do, and I would just love for you to find the answer before, because remember, there's always an answer. Before just resorting to hydrogen peroxide. And I know that eczema is, really, it's something really that you do suffer with. So I get it, the open sores, the itchiness, the rashes. And so I totally understand. I just want to help you get to the bottom of it. That's it. So you can run those labs at equilibriumnutrition.com, the candida metabolic vitamins, plus the bacteria and parasite stool test, or you can run them with an integrative health practitioner, level 2, or you could run them with the local naturopathic doctor. So It's always your choice. I just want to make sure that you know there is an answer. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into today's show. I appreciate you, especially for tuning in on the weekends. And of course, if this show is helpful, please do feel free to pass it along to anyone else you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone.